Another conversation at the table. My name is Chad Bresson. I'm pastor at the Table Church here in San Benito. I hope you're having a great Monday. It is Christmas week. Hard to believe that we're already there. 3 days from now, it's going to be Christmas 2025. The waiting will be over. We're in Advent. Advent is all about waiting. We're going to talk about that in a second. But I hope you're having a great holiday season, and I pray that this week is going to be memorable for you in many kinds of ways. I know it's not for a lot of for everybody, but I do hope it is for you, and I'll be praying to that end. By the way, if you'd like, this is a conversation. If you'd like to comment, if you got questions, feel free to leave it there on Facebook or YouTube, and we'll get to your questions. We'll try to answer your questions. I do want this to be a conversation. I do really think that conversation is always good for us. I learn best when we're in the middle of conversation, and it's through conversation, I think, that we get to see Jesus better. We are making our way through, again, we're in Advent. We've been making our way through the 1517 devotional Coming Home for Christmas. That's what we're talking about again today. And today's passage is a little different. They're highlighting something a little different. In fact, it's something you probably wouldn't see unless you look twice at it. I had to look twice. And when I saw it, I was like, okay, this works. It's there. Isaiah 25, verses 6 through 9. A great passage, by the way. I always love these passages in Isaiah that are looking forward, looking ahead, giving promises to us, because it's those kinds of promises, and seeing all those promises fulfilled in Jesus, it's those things that give us hope in the midst of all sorts of darkness. But here is how this passage goes. It's real short. On this mountain the Lord of armies will prepare for all the peoples a feast of choice meat, a feast with aged wine, prime cuts of choice meat, fine vintage wine. Okay, there's feasting right there. I think we'll talk about that maybe in another conversation at the table, but there's always feasting going on. And then he says, on this mountain, he, the Lord of armies, the Lord of hosts is how some of the other translations put it, the Lord of armies, he's going to prepare for all the peoples to feast. He's also going to swallow up the burial shroud, the shroud or covering over all the peoples, the sheet covering all the nations. So he's going to swallow up the burial shroud, which is a shroud over all the peoples. He's going to cover that up. He's going to take it away. He's going to swallow it up. When he has swallowed up death once and for all, which is what that picture is, the Lord God will wipe away the tears from every face and remove his people's disgrace from the whole earth, for the Lord has spoken. On that day, there's that phrase from Isaiah again, talking about the day of the Lord. On that day it will be said, look, this is our God. We have waited for him, and he has saved us. This is the Lord. We have waited for him. There's the Advent word. Let's rejoice and be glad in his salvation. So that's a great passage. But in the middle of it all, there's this opening with the feast and feasting, and a lot of it. It's always in abundance, these feasts that are described. And then at the end, talking about rejoicing in the Lord's salvation. So it really ends up back at the feast. But in the middle, things are being taken away by the Lord of armies, the Lord of hosts. We also know this to be the second person of the Godhead, the Son of God, eventually Jesus. That's another topic for another day. But the Lord of armies, he's going to swallow up the burial shroud. So he's going to swallow up the funeral. He's going to swallow up death. He's going to wipe away tears. He's going to remove his people's disgrace. Now, what 1517 is doing in their devotionals, they're highlighting all that. It's all takeaway. In this passage, Jesus is a thief, which is kind of interesting. You think about Christmas. Christmas always seems to have thieves. I mean, the probably the most famous one, at least in our American pop culture, is the Grinch, right? He shows up to steal Christmas, steals all the presents. There's also Krampus, and his stealing is a little darker. He steals children who aren't very nice. We're lucky to have coal in our stockings from Santa when we're not nice. Well, Krampus, he steals the kids if they're not nice. And then Home Alone. It's again thinking about these thieves things. I'm thinking about the Grinch and thinking about Krampus, and then Home Alone has two burglars, and that's the running theme through the whole thing. They're thieves. They're wanting to steal. Well, here we have a picture of a thief. Only the stealing is not because he's not trying to take away the good. He's actually taking away the bad and giving the good in response, which is completely the opposite of the way we think about thieves, the way we think about the Grinch. Now, the Grinch, there's redemption there, don't get me wrong. But when we think about the Grinch, Krampus, we think about the thieves in Home Alone, they're all taking something that's good and it becomes a bad act. What's going on with this Lord of Armies stuff, swallowing up death, swallowing up the tears, or removing the tears, and taking away shame, reproach, sin, is he's taking the bad stuff, and then he's giving the good stuff, which is the feast. The feast. That is the story of what's going on in the manger. Jesus shows up to steal all the bad stuff. To steal our guilt, to steal our sin, to steal death, to steal our funeral, in order to give us all the good stuff. It's funny, St. Paul, he picks up on this. He packages a conversation about the day of the Lord. Again, remember on that day? Yeah, Paul's, he's got that all over his writings as well because he's reading his Old Testament. But he says, you know very well that the day of the Lord is going to come like a thief. Like a thief. See, the day of the Lord, Christ's salvation for his people, even coming like a thief to steal death, steal sin, steal our guilt and all this stuff, Jesus isn't asking our permission. And what's funny about this whole thief thing and the idea that Jesus doesn't ask our permission is that's something that just goes against the grain of the way we think about Christianity here in the United States. In fact, I had that conversation just earlier today. Yeah. We're having this conversation. We always want skin in the game. We always want our own skin in the game. We want Jesus to ask our permission to do anything, including giving us salvation. So, in the way we talk about our salvation, the way we talk about forgiveness, the way we talk about grace, we still have to ask for it first. That's that's all over the way we think about the Bible, the way we think about how we interact with Jesus. Now, Jesus isn't asking our permission. And there's also another piece of our Christianity that wants to couch that idea that Jesus doesn't ask for our permission. Well, that's a bad thing. He needs to ask our permission. We don't want a God that's imposing himself on us. You ever stop to think that Jesus doesn't ask our permission because he is going to do something great, grand, and glorious for us? It's hard to believe how that would be a problem. He's going to do something great, grand, and glorious for us and take our sin, take our guilt. And yes, he's going to take our skin out of the game. That's part of our sin. This is all about his grace, his love for us. He's a thief for us, because he loves us, because he absolutely, unconditionally, unstoppably loves us. We say that all the time. That's how his grace operates. That's how his forgiveness operates. And boy, we could unpack that for a while and talking about how the way we've been taught to think about forgiveness, Jesus gives it to us. Father, forgive them for they don't know what they're doing. Before they're even asking for forgiveness, I'm going to give it to them. Jesus is a thief. And what's interesting about all that is that what he gives us, he takes away and then he gives us. He gives us himself. He gives us everything. This really is Jesus plus nothing, everything stuff. So, next time you see the Grinch, next time you see Krampus showing up in the movies, just remember this. There is one great, grand, and glorious thief who is coming to steal our death, steal our sin, and steal our guilt in the manger. And that's what he did. That's what the cross is. And then someday we're going to enjoy, and we were already feasting, by the way, but someday we will see. We'll see all of it at the very last feast, when there are no more tears and there is no more death. It's already started. We haven't seen the whole thing in its completion, in its fullness, in its wholeness. But that's coming. That's why we waited Advent, not because we don't think that Jesus hasn't come. He has. We're waiting on the second coming, when he's going to finally make it all good, all the time. We don't know what life is like that, but he promised. And the manger, the cross, is a guarantee that that's coming. That's our conversation at the table. I hope you're having a great Christmas season. I hope that you're spending some time doing some things this week that you don't normally do, because that's what this week is really all about. I know we still have to, many of us, we still have to work. We still have jobs. We're still working and doing things. But I just pray that you take some time to think about what's going on in the true meaning of Christmas. And by the way, 6 o'clock Wednesday evening, that's two days from now, Wednesday evening, we will be doing that here, right here at the Table Church. We got the Christmas Eve service, and we're going to have, it's all C's: cookies, carols, candles, and hot chocolate. And it's gonna be great. It's a community Christmas Eve, so you're invited. It's just 1 hour. Bring your family, bring your friends, and we will talk about the real meaning of Christmas from Matthew and Luke. I hope you can join us. Until then, remember this: that thief who comes and has come to take away your sin, to take away your guilt, to take away all the things that death means, that thief absolutely loves you, and that means that he always has you. Jesus has you always.